Okay, this is a lesson on how to use my color swatches I'm giving you to correct skin tones. And the file that I'm looking at right now that's open in front of me is called skinretouchexample.tiff. And I'm going to use this same image for my skin color correction and all of my skin retouching. So if you want to open this file and follow along, that's great. And it's called skinretouchexample.tiff. Okay, well, I want to talk a little bit about my color swatches I've given you. And again, if you haven't loaded these color swatches, go back to lesson 2. And also, I prefer to use these swatches in this large list mode. Now, the one thing that's actually pretty special about these skin tone swatches is that I was in a situation for several years of working for a company that did printing all over the place and used some of the largest printing companies in the world. And I found that when the files that we would give them, we'd give them CMYK files, but when we ended up seeing the printed products, catalogs and brochures and flyers and that kind of thing, quite often they would concentrate, when they did the printing, they would concentrate on making sure the merchandise, whatever the model was wearing, whatever the model was selling, making sure that the merchandise color was accurate, and they would sacrifice the skin tones, and the skin tones would just always look way off. I shouldn't say always, but quite often they looked way off. So I started talking to all the retouchers of all the major printing companies in the world, and even traveled to see quite a few of them. And I would ask them, what were the actual CMYK numbers that you use to determine what's going to print well in CMYK? So I took tons of notes and looked at tons of photos that would be converted from RGB to CMYK and then printed. And I kind of came up with a list of skin tone colors that will translate in most situations very well to CMYK, and they should print very naturally looking. Now, of course, I can't guarantee that it's going to work in every situation, and there's still, a chance that you give a printing company a perfect file that looks wonderful everywhere else, even looks wonderful on the proofs, but when it actually runs on press, it ends up looking terrible. So there's no 100% guarantees here, but I can tell you that this has helped out immensely in everything that I do involving skin tones being printed CMYK. And also these skin tones will translate very well for the web. So this image that I have open in front of you, actually you're looking at the image as it is fully retouched. Let me show you what it looked like before it was retouched. Okay, that's before, that's after. That's before, that's after. Let's go to the before one. This girl actually has very nice skin. The only thing is she actually was a little sunburned when we shot this, and even though she had full professional makeup on, it couldn't completely hide the sunburn. But she really does naturally have very, very nice skin. I also have her holding a bouquet of dried red roses in front of her face, and that really kind of kicked up the red splotchiness in her face that was there from the sunburn. So let me show you again what it's going to look like after, when everything's done. So that's after. So that's everything retouched on her. But right now we're going to concentrate just on the skin color. So I'm going to have my swatches palette open here with the large list, and I'm going to look at these colors and kind of compare them to her skin. And I can see right off that also, because she's a redhead, her skin tone is going to be skin tone light. So I'm going to use this skin tone light Caucasian swatch right here that I've created. And I've given these names just as kind of a little bit of a go-by for you. There's no reason that you can't use skin tone dark African American, Middle Eastern. No reason you can't use that skin tone for a very dark tanned Caucasian. So don't take these literally. These are just kind of a little bit of helpful guides to kind of get you in the ballpark for determining what skin tone you should use. But I can tell visually that the one that's going to match perfectly for her is this Skin Tone Light Caucasian patch right here. That's the swatch I'm going to use. So I'm going to go down here to my layers palette, and this is the unretouched image right down here in the bottom, this bottom layer, layer 0. And I'm just going to click on the adjustment layer button right there, and I'm going to make an adjustment layer, a solid color adjustment layer. And it brings up the color picker right here, and I'm just going to drag the color picker, it becomes the eyedropper tool as you drag off of it. And I'm going to go over here to the Skin Tone Light swatch, click on it, and fill a whole layer with that Skin Tone Light color. Click on OK. And then I'm going to change the layer blending mode of this layer. And I'm either going to use either hue or color. And because there's such a difference in the splotchiness of her skin, the hue is actually making that splotchiness look a little more obvious. So I'm going to actually switch to color and use color. And really, it's colorizing that image with that skin tone color. Now, obviously I need to fill this layer mask with black, and then go back in and paint with white to just paint it where I need that skin tone color. So I'm just going to select the layer mask and go up to Edit, Fill, and under Fill, Contents, use black. Click OK. So now I don't see anything of that color, but as I paint with white on this layer mask, pick a nice soft round brush, perfect, and make sure that my foreground color is set to white down here. And all I need to do is to go in, and this is going to look very strong at first, but then I'll help it out by lowering the opacity of the layer. I'm going to go in and just paint over all of her skin. And I know that by taking out all of that red, it's going to make her look a little bit lifeless. But again, don't worry. We are going to go back and adjust this. And don't worry about ruining the blush makeup. I could either bring that back a little bit here with my layer mask, or I could actually create over here. I've given you all these blush colors that you can use. I could create another color fill adjustment layer and do the same thing that I'm doing here over the top of it to give her a nice rosy color back to her cheeks. But I know this actually ends up looking kind of creepy when you get rid of all the changes in tone to the skin, especially get the ear right there. I'm not going to really worry about that hair that's coming in there. I can go back later and fix eyebrows, things like that. Just trying to do this quickly so you can see how it works. Okay, now she looks pretty ghastly at the moment. Let me go over here to the layer, the color fill layer, and let me just lower the opacity of that. And taking it down to like, well, that's 32. Let's go up, back up a little bit. Let's try it right about there at 40. And actually, let me rename this layer Skin Tone. Okay. And I'll turn that off and on so you can see how red and blotchy it was before. Then after, it's fairly even now. Now I realize that there's still all the little bumps and flaws on her skin that we're going to fix later. But I did the skin tone first just because when I see a glaring problem, especially with color, it drives me insane until I fix it. So that's just me. So I always do whatever problem I see that stands out the most, that's what I have to go fix first, because otherwise I can't keep looking at the image and thinking about anything else I need to do to it until I fix that one glaring problem. So that's before, that's after. I think it's still, I think I've taken it down a little too much. I mean, let me just lower the opacity of the layer just a little bit more. That's good. And then I can actually, of course, go back and adjust that as I go along as I need to. So that's how to use my skin tone swatches that I've given you. And of course, you can use these not just for faces, you can use them for entire bodies, which I use it all the time for retouching any part of the body that's showing skin. So hope that helps, and thanks for watching.